So for number 1, it says find the zeros of the function using the quadratic formula. If you read the directions, remember, you're showing all work, which you guys were doing that, and then answers are always in simplest form. So when you set this up with your a, b, and c, right, yes, you have to know that, opposite of b, plus or minus, square root, b squared minus 4ac. Okay, underneath the radical, you get negative 20. So the negative means you have to bring in the I, and then 20, the perfect square in 20 is 4. When you take the square root of 4, you get 2. So in the numerator, you'd have the 2i root 4. Now remember, the denominator, you're going to divide both of those by 4. So 2/4 reduces to 1/2. When you are simplifying, you can reduce if they are both outside the radical. You can't combine the radical with non-radical, so there's nothing to divide here. You're only going to do 2 divided by 4, which again, 2/4 is 1/2. If you already have something on top, you don't need to rewrite it. So this is going to be 1/2 plus or minus I root 5 over 2. So make sure you're dividing both of those by your 2, okay? All right, what questions do you guys have for me about A? A went well? Okay, for B, this is one where you get a perfect square underneath the radical. When that happens, you have to find the actual answer. Okay, so you're going to have x plus 2 over 6, 10/6, which is 5/3. And then 8 minus 2 over 6 is 6 divided by 6, which is 1. So those are your 2 answers. Okay, and I do want that as a fraction. Okay, that's anytime you have a decimal, you're not going to have it for these. You're going to have a radical, you're going to have a fraction. For B? Yeah, what's up with B? 64 minus 4 times 3 times 5. So 64 minus 60 will be 4, right? Okay, and then if it's a whole number, you actually do it, okay? All right, now for C, 16 squared is 256. Negative 4 times 67 is negative 268. When you subtract, you get negative 12. So again, if there's a negative, what has to come into play? I. And then 12 has a perfect square in it. It's 4. So when you take the square root of 4, you have 2. Remember, we've been practicing a lot dividing each of these by 2. So negative 16 divided by 2 is negative 8. 2 divided by 2 is just what? 1. Okay, so it's I root 3. So negative 8 plus or minus I root 3. Feeling good? Okay. All right, and then when I came around, you guys did a nice job with simplifying this one. So you have the square root of 76. You can see I did my little factor tree here. So 4 is the biggest perfect square that goes into 76. That's why we have 2 root 19. And then again, you're dividing each by 2. So this will be negative 1 plus or minus root 19. Okay. All right, and then number 2 was the quadratic formula as well. And then when you're doing number 2, okay, you do not have to simplify this because you are going to use your calculator to calculate your 2 solutions. Now, on your quiz, it will be a little different. It'll say round to the nearest, like, 100th or nearest 10th. And that should be a big clue to you that, oh, if I'm rounding to a decimal, then I'm going to have to find the 2 decimals. So it can't be negative because you're trying to find the second, so 1.7 seconds. Okay? All right, and then we'll go over the rest on Monday.